Hello YouTube fans, I thought I'd do this one. Again, it's Licensed to Kill, but I thought I'd do it a different way. Remember when I did House 3, the horror show, when I did the two different versions? And remember when I did Zombie Fest Eaters, and I did the two different versions? This is similar. This is Licensed to Kill, but three different versions. VHS, when it come out in the days of video, DVD, when it come out on DVD, and Blu-ray. Because Licensed to Kill, the Bond film, was considered to be one of the most violent, the most darkest out of the Bond films, and it was pretty violent when it came out. But for people who may not know, the American version was a lot more dark and a lot more violent than when we got it. When we got it, there was a lot of scenes when it came out on video. I mean, what was heavily cut? I'll repeat myself. What was heavily cut? It was only when DVD come out we actually had the luxury of seeing Licensed to Kill in its uncut form. But there was two little bits here and there that was slightly timmed. So the Blu-ray shown it all in its still uncut version. And I'm now going to say the versions for people who may not know. Over the years we've had the video version before DVD. One version in Licensed to Kill is a scene where the bad guy is about to whip the woman and it cuts to a wedding scene. It did that in the video. As we all know, in the DVD one, you see her get fucking ripped. You see the aftershots of her die when he says give her heart. You don't see it because he's had his heart removed and the dude gets ripped. Which is also in the Blu-ray version. Again, on the video one, the scene where Felix gets fed to the shark, you don't see roughly it, but on the DVD one you do see a little bit more longer. Blu-ray, you do see what the shark does when it bites his leg off. Again, you don't see it on DVD, you see it on the Blu-ray where you do see a bit more, and DVD shows a bit more. And there's a scene where one of the guys gets his head blown up. He's in this chest thing and he cuts the bar and the bars make his face stretch out. Now on TV that was cut, see where his face stretches, but on video you saw it. DVD you saw it because you get a bit more sound effects of the head blowing up, and on Blu-ray you see his fucking head blow up. You see his head go and blow up, blood everywhere. Not too bloody, but again, pretty brutal. It really shows that this bad guy is ruthless. So that was a lot more meat to the fed, and that was on the Blu-ray one, the one where the head blows up, like I just said. Again, on the video, you do see one of the guys fall into a food blender. You don't see it as much, but on the DVD one, you see a lot more of him screaming in pain, and you see him going down, and on the Blu-rays you see a lot more of that. Again, the bad guy, as we all know, is about to cut Bond and see when he pulls his lighter out. Now on the video one you just see a little bit of him running, screaming and adding her. The DVD you see it a lot longer where he's in a lot more pain, and on Blu-ray just saw a little bit more. So there was a different versions of Licensed to Kill. It definitely was the violentest and it definitely was the darkest out of the Bond films. It took on this that we actually got the luxury, and that's now on Blu-ray as well as DVD, that we actually got to have the luxury of seeing Licensed to Kill in its uncut form. As I said, it was considered one of the most violent ones. I liked it, I liked the fires. A lot of people didn't like the fires, so that's why it was timmed down. It took so many days to see Licensed to Kill in its uncut form. And I like Licensed to Kill, you know what I mean? I think the violence gave it more of an edge. It gave James Bond more of an edge, you know what I mean? Like Roger Moore's last Bond films, Roger Moore never liked. He never liked For Your Eyes Only, the scene where he kicks a car over. He never liked A View to a Kill, the scene where Christopher Walken is shooting everybody. And he actually said, Roger Moore, that his later Bond films were getting more violent. But, so I'm not going to lie, even in Roger Moore's era they were getting a bit more violent in the later ones. But in all fairness, Bond was never really kiddified. Look at fucking Thunderball, a guy getting flung in shark-infested water. A fucking woman in You Only Live Twice gets plunged into piranha-infested water, and piranhas, I make it sound more juicy than what it is, but the piranhas finish her off. So Bond always sometimes did have its violent moments, but I think Licence to Kill gave it more of an edge. At that time, movies were changing, and I could see that in Licence to Kill. You know what I mean? It was a different era, and movies at that time were changing. Bond, I never really thought were for kids. You know, they kept it PT for the younger audience. But in all fairness, look at the first Bond films. You had Dr. No, which was more of a spy thriller. You had From Russia with Love, again, was a more of a spy thriller. And then as the Bond movies went on, they went more action. But I like Licence to Kill. I like the violence. Again, I felt the violence did it an edge. I felt Timothy Dalton definitely had a fucking edge to him. It was a lot more darker. Wasn't as humorous as there was more. It about one-liners every 2 minutes. I like that. And whether it was faithful to the book version of Licence to Kill is a different story, because we all know the books are always not at all like the films. I remember reading, this is a true story, I remember reading a bit of The Spy Who Loves Me. This is the Ian Fleming's book, not the film. And to be honest, it bored me to sleep. I thought it was boring. But in all fairness, people, I was more or less watching the films. I never read the books of Ian Fleming's fucking Bonds. You know what I mean? I never read them. But I do believe the Ian Fleming novels were more spy and espionage. It wasn't as action-packed as the films. But, you know, it is how it is. But yeah, Licence to Kill, there were the different versions. Now I did this, I'll talk a bit more about Timothy Dalton. I do know he did have a 5-day contract, and yeah, I said it before. And it's basically I would have loved to have seen what would have happened that he would have done other Bond films. I actually see an original poster of what would have been the next Bond film with Timothy Dalton at MGM wouldn't have fucked around. And maybe one day I'd love to see what would have happened if Timothy Dalton would have done GoldenEye, what it would have been like. I'd have loved to see what it would have been like if Timothy Dalton did Tomorrow Never Dies, or The World Is Not Enough. What it would have been like if he would have played Bond. Now don't get me wrong, I do like Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. Same on me, he's okay. But you know, I just liked him if you don't at that point. You know, he wasn't down about like Sean Connery, wasn't down about like Roger Moore. He was his own fucking Bond. I mean, whether he was faithful to the book, like Leslie Ryan said, you know, he was faithful to the book of Bond, is a different story. But I just felt he had an edge at that point, and it was needed. And with the fights being put back in, I've got to admit, it gives it more of an edge. It gives it more of a fucking edge. So that is the 3 different versions of Licence to Kill. Into them, I'll see you later.